Hello again, everybody. We are back this week. I'm Alan. That to your right, my left this week is John. And we are the
around.
he flips back and forth. And we are the horror guys. And this week, we're going to talk about Chucky. And
Yes.
we've been wanting to do this for a while. The new TV series, Chucky, was not quite what I was expecting in terms of what I thought they were going to do. And I mean that in a good way. So, as usual, I want you to kick this off. And I want to know what your initial thoughts are on this.
Well, I kind of liked how you started with that because it was one of those things where, like, you heard that we were going to get a Chucky TV series.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, we've had a Nightmare on Elm Street series back in the day. We had a Friday the 13th series, before. And Nightmare on Elm Street, the first episode kind of had to do with Robert Englund, and other than that, it didn't. And
Right.
Friday the 13th had nothing to do with Jason. So when you hear about these series, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
But going into this one blind and not really knowing except for seeing the few little TV spots, it was really, really good. Like they picked up from Child's Play 1988 all the way to Call of Chucky from 2017. And it just, like, honestly, the show blew my mind how good it was.
Yeah. Going into it, for me, I had recently seen the most recent movie that they did, which was a totally different story. I mean, in many, many ways. I mean, the backstory of Charles Lee Ray wasn't even there. They totally cut that out in that new movie. That was something I wasn't a big fan of. Although the concept was interesting, I will give them that.
Right.
So I wasn't, and then I heard there's going to be a Chucky TV series, not knowing that they were bringing the original writers back
Yeah.
for it to do it. I was wondering if what they were going to do. And I was happy to see that they kind of went back to the roots of the series, brought the backstory back, and kind of continued on that original story. And yeah, I thought they did a really good job with it. The character development was strong. The whole atmosphere of the movie was good. The story was solid, and I think they kind of hit it out of the park with this.
Yeah. It was what they pretty much called it was a coming of age story with the story about Jake. Obviously being gay in today's society and stuff, and kind of the screwed up home life that he had with his dad being an alcoholic, and
Right.
Which let's talk about the fact that Devon Sawa played two roles in this series. He was Jake's dad and also his uncle.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Yeah. And boy, the uncle had an interesting character arc too.
Yeah.
He went from being what seemed like a very decent guy to just slowly kind of spiraling out of control up towards the end of the movie. Then you kind of saw what he was really about.
Right.
No,
One of the other things I really liked about it too is it brought back characters from out the whole series.
Yeah.
So you had Andy Barclay come back from, of course, the original
Yes.
Child's Play.
Yep.
You had Kyle come back from Child's Play 2. You had Jennifer Tilly, of course, come back as Tiffany.
Yeah.
And then what I really liked about it, before I get to that, was you had Fiona Dorff who came back and she was in Curse and Call of Chucky, which is also Brad Dourif's daughter. And then you had and this is the part that I really liked, was the mention of Eddie Caputo. So a lot of people may not remember that name, but if you remember the original Child's Play, that was Charles Lee Ray's sidekick, Eddie Caputo. And when they showed a flashback, they showed him as a kid, and that was one of the coolest things that they just randomly threw that in there. I thought that was so cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, they were able to take the original lore of the original film and expand on it, and while also telling a new story. So, I thought that was really cool. It kind of draws me into that whole Child's Play universe a little bit more than what I had been. I was never I always, enjoyed the movies, thought they were fun for what they were, was never the biggest fan, but I think this series kind of piques my interest a little bit more in terms of seeing how they're tying it all together and where they're going to go with it. Wasn't sure, like I said, wasn't sure how I was gonna, enjoy it. But I was very pleasantly surprised. I thought they did a good job. You know, I can't think of an episode that I didn't really like.
Yeah, honestly. Now, when you watched them, were you able to watch the little like behind the scene type things that they had after the show? Were you able to see those?
No, I didn't see it. I don't know if I missed them or what.
So when they originally aired on USA after the show, they do maybe like a 5 up to maybe 10-minute long type of behind the scenes of each episode, and you kind of got to see like what went into making the episode, talking with the actors and stuff like that, and they were actually really cool. But for me, I think the biggest takeaway from this show was the flashback scenes of the young Charles Lee Ray. That was so fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, you don't get a lot of that throughout the series. You know that he was a notorious killer.
Right.
You know that he dabbled in voodoo, and he transferred his soul into a doll. And that's all we pretty much know about Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, you're getting the prequel to the original Child's Play without doing a full-on prequel. You're getting that prequel. You're kind of seeing because it was always interesting, that part of the story, because you have this terror, like huge big-time serial killer who has this whole backstory. That in and of itself is a movie or a show.
Oh, absolutely.
And then he becomes this. So it's like you're kind of getting to see the whole, why Charles Lee Ray was considered so bad and, and terrible before he became Chucky. A lot of people might forget that he was a brutal serial killer before before he entered the doll.
And the best part about that was it started out as a kid. Here you had the flashback scene of a local murderer in the town that he kind of idolized in a way.
Yeah.
Come into his house one night and kill his father right in front of him.
Yeah.
And then the mom gets killed too, and he watches this happen, and the dude lets him go. Yeah. Because he could tell that he loved every bit of seeing what happened to his own parents.
Plus, he killed his own mom and said, "Here, I helped." And now you see that the kid was fucked in the head from the start.
Absolutely.
It was, and it was also what was cool about it is it was your standard Chucky. It was your standard. Yeah. I mean, everything was in place. I mean, the voice of the doll. Yes. That just everything about it was what you remember from the original movies. And then one of the things I like was some of the intros to the new episodes that they would do. They'd have like a new one.
Oh yeah.
Last time on fucking Chucky was my favorite one.
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you what. I was so shocked watching that on USA, and then it actually aired on USA and Sci-Fi at the same time. So Sci-Fi can kind of get away with that stuff every now and then, but USA dropping the F-bomb, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah. I remember watching that episode when he said fuck, and I rewound it. I was like, wait, did he just say fuck? Yeah. And they let it go? I was like, whoa.
Not to mention I'm not going to sit here and try to say that it was the most gory thing we've seen this year. God knows it's not, but the kills were solid, and there was plenty of it's not like they were hiding it because it was on television. I mean, this doesn't disappoint in terms of any of that. It's and that was another thing too. You go in, you think it's a television series. They're gonna hold back. It's gonna be subdued. Right. And maybe if they had, maybe it doesn't meet, the same standard that some of the movies that are coming out today do. Obviously, it wasn't a Texas Chainsaw Massacre level of gore. But it's good enough, and it really meets what the movies were. I mean, it hits that, I didn't feel like I was watching some lame television show. I felt like I was watching a movie that was cut into pieces.
Hell, I think you sometimes don't even get that extensive on like The Walking Dead as you did with this. Like,
right? Yeah.
It was crazy, man. Like, yeah. One of the coolest things for me was finding out, and this was where I talked about the after show kind of like behind the scenes thing, was that, and I had no clue about this until I watched this, that it was Fiona Dorff, Brad Dourif's daughter, who played a young Charles Lee Ray in the flashback scenes, and it blew my fucking mind. She looks just like him. It was nuts, man.
That is crazy.
I couldn't believe. Yeah, I couldn't believe how much she looked like him. It was crazy how she looked just like him from the original movie. It was crazy how they did that.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about that too. Like, her character is kind of newer to the series from Curse and then Cult, but they made her a big part of this TV series.
Yeah.
Albeit kind of strange in the way that now Chucky kind of put his soul into like real people and then the dolls too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
now there's like a million of them running around.
Yeah. So, and one of the biggest takeaways that we got from one of the flashback scenes, which I thought was really cool too, was that it was Tiffany who actually busted on Charles Lee Ray all those years ago in the original Child's Play and told the cops where he was.
Right.
Which was kind of a cool way to do that. Like, you didn't expect that, you know?
Right.
Because then she doesn't get introduced all the way until Bride of Chucky, obviously.
Right.
And then you see that they have issues, but the issues between the two really became apparent in this TV series.
Yeah, yeah. You never really knew what the depth of it was. And again, and that goes back to what I said, I feel like they're going through and they're paying close attention to all the other movies. They're tying everything together. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, go back and watch the movies again because you'll probably pick up on things now that you didn't
that's
before, or even while you were watching the series.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably a lot that you could look and kind of see, even whether it was intentional all the way back then up till now. But, you know, I don't know if it's because they brought the original team back, but they just know their work so well and what they've done, and it really did work. But it's interesting to me because I did some reading and realized that the studio that made the movie, the production company that made the movie, still plans on making a sequel to that movie, while they still plan on making another season of the show. So it's like you now have a Child's Play multiverse out there.
Yeah. So now they're going to continue on from Cult of Chucky. Is that what you're saying? They're going to continue on.
They're going to continue on from the remake that they just did.
Oh, okay. I got you.
From my understanding, unless something's changed since. But yeah, my understanding is they're going to continue on from the remake while still making this show. So it's like you have the remake storyline that time, almost like another timeline, that storyline going, and then the original storyline going. So it's like a multiverse. Okay.
And since you brought it up, I have to ask though, what did you think about that? Because I didn't think it was terrible. I mean, obviously it wasn't the Chucky that we know, but I thought Mark Hamill did a damn good job with that.
Oh, I didn't mind. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a very interesting idea. If you're going to do something different with it, you know, I don't know if I would have totally changed the whole concept the way they did, but you got to give them credit for coming up with an interesting idea. I would watch a sequel happily.
I would,
to it. You know, so, you know, I don't know. Did a lot of people not like it, I assume? I mean, I'm guessing that's the way things are these days.
Absolutely hated it. Here's what I thought interesting about it, though, was the fact that you almost felt bad for Buddy, because essentially it wasn't him. He was programmed that way because off of a pissed off worker.
Right.
Basically, that made him that way. And then what he thought he was doing to actually make the boy happy was shit that you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So you almost felt bad for the doll in a way.
Right.
Whereas you don't really ever feel bad for Chucky. He's just a crazy motherfucker.
Right.
But you felt bad for Buddy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it was a different dynamic.
Oh, yeah. And then the song gets stuck in your head like it has to. That's just shit. I still sing it to Madison all the time, and she can't stand it. But I have a blast messing with her with it. But overall, it was a fun movie for what it was. It didn't. It did change. Okay, so I'll relate it to like how Rob Zombie got us at the end of, again, and I always relate to this because it always messes with me, but how he took the Firefly clan and made you feel bad about them. And they did the same thing with Chucky, in a sense. Well, Buddy.
Yeah.
But, you know, you kind of felt bad for this poor doll that had no control over the way he was acting. You know?
Yeah, he's a computer program.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I kind of like that.
I thought it, like I said, I thought it was an interesting concept. You know, it entertained me. I'm not going to sit there and say it blew me away or anything like that.
Right.
It was a new take on something, you know, and that's the thing. If you're going to do a remake, there's nothing wrong with doing it a little different and doing your own thing. You know, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, their remake from 2003 or whatever, was absolutely excellent, and it was very different from the original movie. You know, and that was okay because it's something. It's a new version of something, so I'm okay with it. I think people get real offended when you start messing with the nuts and bolts of the original and the beloved. You know, because that was a total change on the story. You went from the serial killer possessing the doll to, like you said, you know, an angry programmer changed the doll's makeup.
Exactly. Right.
You know, so you know, it's just. I liked it. You know, I enjoyed the show a lot better, to be honest.
I agree.
Maybe because I'm partial to that original story too. I mean, there could be a little bit of that too going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, so I mean,
I really like too that everything kind of came into play. So you brought back these old characters, but they weren't just there for like a cameo. They were there for a purpose.
Right.
And a lot of the times when they do stuff
your
like that,
legacy character, so to speak.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. They were essentially big parts of the show in some way. You know what I mean? And I thought it was cool that they also mentioned Glenn and Glenda, because we haven't seen that character since Seed of Chucky.
Right.
So maybe we'll see that character come back in season 2. Who knows? You know?
Yeah, I think as this goes on, you're going to see more and more. You know, more and more of that. More. You know. It's so interesting seeing a situation where, and I want to get to something on this too, because it's interesting to me seeing a show finally really successfully go out and take a character, a slasher, from a movie, and being able to stretch it out through an entire season of a television show. And then say, okay, we're ready to go into the next season, and it doesn't feel like it's too much. It doesn't feel like okay, how could they possibly keep this going? So going back, you mentioned the old Friday the 13th series and the old Nightmare on Elm Street. That was more like branding. Okay, we're going to slap the name on it to try to get you know, viewers. Then we had Scream. They did a Scream television series, and it was kind of when they announced it, it was like, okay, this could be cool, but it'll be interesting. How do you do it over the course of season after season? How are you going to do it? How are you going to keep coming up with this and keep it going without making it an anthology thing? And I enjoyed the first 2 seasons. The third that they did was okay.
They killed that story, and they had a good thing going.
They did,
and then they just killed the story completely.
They did. You know, they had low ratings and everything, and I guess they wanted to try to kickstart it again. Whatever. There were things that they could have done differently. I wish they would have started that series with the same mask and the same. I think the ghost face thing. Yeah. I think they probably shot themselves in the foot there, because all of a sudden you're taking this iconic look that everybody recognizes, and you're switching it out for something else, and people are going to watch it and say, well, this isn't Scream, you know.
Exactly.
But I liked it. And then you had I Know What You Did Last Summer, but that totally flopped. It was just...
I have not watched that yet, but I heard it was very terrible, and it got canceled already, too, so I guess it didn't do too well.
It didn't, no.
Now, have you watched the... and this came out around the same time as Chucky, the Day of the Dead TV show that came out, too?
No, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
So apparently it's based off of, I don't know if it's more, I think it's a modern take on George Romero's, film Day of the Dead. I didn't watch it. I heard from other people it was awful. I'm scared to watch it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I chose to watch Chucky over that, to be honest. I was like, I'm gonna go with Chucky instead. And I'm glad that I made that decision even without seeing Day of the Dead yet.
Yeah. And like I said, they successfully did something that hasn't been done before. And it's interesting to me because a lot of these slashers seem to be wanting to toy around in the world of television. We've heard for years now about a Halloween television series, and you wonder, well, how could they do that? How can you do a Halloween television series? Well, Chucky just showed us how you can do it. Right. If it's done right, you can do it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the talk of this being maybe technically the last of the franchise, now is the time to make a TV show then. Honestly.
If that's
Now's
really
the time to do it.
If that's where you want to go with it, do it. I mean, if that's how you want to, and it's hard to tell. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you risk a lot with it. Let's be honest. You risk a lot with it because more have failed at trying it than have succeeded.
True.
I can't. Other than Chucky, I can't think of one of these series that's actually done well without trying to become some sort of an anthology thing. And you could certainly do that with a Halloween and make it an anthology if you wanted to. I don't know if you're gonna. I don't know if that'll be successful though. To be honest, I just don't know if people want to see that.
No, I think that would be tough.
Yeah, but this. I don't now. Again, I don't know how many seasons they could stretch this. I don't know if you're going to get 10 seasons out of this.
Right.
But you could definitely get 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Reasonably.
I mean, think about the cliffhanger they left us on. So now we have a truckload of possessed Chucky dolls that are about to go out into the world, and Andy now steals the truck and thinks he's going to get away, and all of a sudden, Tiffany the doll, not the person, but the doll, pops out of the back with a gun and is like, "Yeah, you're not going to fucking do that." Right. So now what happens? And then you got these 3 kids that have survived this. Mm-hmm. How do they come into play in the next season? Are they going to go out and try to stop this from happening?
Right.
Or are they done? Is their story done? It's hard to say.
Are they going to move to another town with another cast? Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I suspect they're going to stick with the same group, only because of and maybe not. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like they really invested a lot into the arcs of these characters. I talked about the dad and the uncle, but I mean, Jake, his character went all over the place right from the beginning. The girl, what's her name? What was her name?
The blonde-haired one was a bitch the whole season?
Yeah.
I forget her name. But she was a bitch the whole season.
Right up until about the end. And then,
absolutely.
And even the cousin, he went through a crazy spell. And now he's got blood on his hands because he's murdered people now,
exactly.
So it's really interesting to me. Or did they kill did the kid die?
They did. Yeah,
that's right.
They
he
did. They
die.
killed him in the theater.
That's right. He did. But I mean, they put so much into these characters. I would be surprised if they just left all that. They might, but we'll see them again at some point. I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. And I thought too, man. Like, you know how for years it's been going around. They had the picture with the different slashers kill counts for and I don't think they've been updated in years.
Right.
But could you imagine how high now Chucky's is after that series?
Oh, yeah, a whole series of people,
Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
He killed a lot of people in that.
And I was thinking about that watching Chainsaw the other day when he went through that bus. I was like, boy, he's padding his numbers too. But not nearly as many as Chucky. Chucky killed a ton of people in that thing. They totaled it at the end.
Yeah.
And I forget what it was like over 100 people or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then it's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray in April. So like, I'm definitely grabbing that first day it comes out, man, because I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were plenty of complaints out there for one thing or another, but you can't.
I will say this though.
It seemed well received.
I didn't see a lot of people bitching about this one. I'll be honest with you, I really didn't.
It seemed well received. On the forums, online, and everything, it seemed like people really liked it. But again, they kept it so close to the original.
Yeah.
Give them credit. They were able to bring the same people in to write the show, and they did such a good job of just sticking with that original formula. It's you can't really complain that it's that it doesn't pay homage to any of the previous movies, because it certainly does.
Oh, exactly. It takes the entire series from '88 to 2017. You get the whole thing, which is something that a lot of even movies, remakes, reboots, what have you, will cut off at a certain point.
Right.
This gave you the entire fucking series, which was really cool, and that's why you were able to bring back so many different characters and mention different characters and do stuff like that. Because you took the whole Chucky universe per se and brought it to life in this series. Yeah,
they didn't cut. They didn't cut anything out of canon except for the remake, which.
Right.
But who knows? Later on down the line, they could combine the two. You know?
Yeah, dude, he's liable to end up in a store next to a Buddy doll. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So I mean, interesting stuff. I'm looking forward to the next season. Definitely, I would like to see. We're coming close now. We're at 25 minutes.
All right.
I want to know. We love getting your comments, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to tell us what you thought of Chucky, let us know. Let us know how we're doing. If you like the episodes, or if you hate the episodes too.
It's okay. You can tell us. It's okay.
Tell us. I do just want to point out this may not be a big deal for everybody in the world, but for us, it's kind of cool seeing we're up to 27 subscribers. So we'd appreciate it if everybody out there, you like what we're doing, subscribe, like the video. We've had 802 watches, which is pretty cool. So we appreciate the support. I mean, that's good enough for us to want to keep doing it.
Absolutely.
So we also been putting out some of our older stuff too.
Oh yeah,
slowly,
dude. I tell you, man, that stuff is great. Going through that and editing it, and sending it to you, man. I just look back and watch some of that stuff and just laugh because we had some fun doing that shit.
We got to get back into some of that because that was fun.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Some of the skits and sketches and stuff. I mean, this is a great option to do it here, but it is somewhat limiting sometimes. But definitely getting back to that when we can would be really cool.
Right, absolutely.
But do you have anything else to add?
Just that if things follow like they did last year, we should be seeing season 2 by October, which is the best time to do it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it.
October is going to be a fun month. I mean, you'll have another Halloween movie, and you'll have another season of Chucky, and who knows what else. I mean, we live for
that's
October
usually the best time
here.
where a bunch of random stuff just shows up out of the blue. But for me, it's a definite happy birthday because Halloween comes out on my birthday this year. So I'm ready, man.
That's awesome.
I am ready.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to celebrate.
Heck yeah.
All right, guys. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff.
Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, I think you said it was called. And various other places too.
Yeah, Amazon Music.
Yes, that one.
God only knows who else picked us up by now. So we'll see you guys later.
Yep, later.
Fans, check out and follow the Horror Guys. You can find them on Facebook, facebook.com/The Horror Guys. On Twitter, Horror Guys 21, that's HORRORGUYS 21. On YouTube, The Horror Guys. And also on Spotify, search for The Horror Guys.
What are you, fucking nuts?